Hi guys. So in this video we are going to discuss about the supervised learning, the unsupervised learning and the reinforcement learning. Basically these are different types of machine learning, different kinds of machine learning we have, and we are going to discuss that. Now supervised learning, if you remember, we discussed about this table, these two tables, and we had these labels and these features, and we used to calculate our formula based on these features, relation of these features with these labels. And accordingly, when we do not have these labels, we could predict this label based on that formula. Same goes here. We had some relation, some formula, some model to classify, but this is a classifier problem, so classify these labels in urban, rural, metropolitan. When we do not have information about these labels, we could based on the features and the model we calculated, we were able to classify uh, these features in particular label, and basically which label it should come into. Now what we are doing here with this historical data, the yellow highlighted portion, basically what we are doing, we are giving this information to the model that okay, this is the relation between the label and features in both classifier and regressor problems. And here where you calculate the relation formula or model, and then you apply it on the implement it on the when we have the real problem. So we are basically training the model, we are giving the training to the model that you can train yourself, you can get that relation which you can implement when we do not have the label available with us. So we are training the model. Now we are kind of supervising the model, teaching the model, so that is why it is supervised learning. So supervised learning has historical data which basically works as training data for the model, and based on that it calculates its formula, the model, it gets trained. That's supervised learning. Now imagine if we do not have these labels. Imagine, and supervised learning works in both regressor and classifier, and unsupervised learning works only on classifier. So imagine we do not have these labels. So how do we identify that which data lies where in which classification? So here in unsupervised learning, and unsupervised learning works here when we do not have labels. Unsupervised learning, it classifies based on different features, based on relation, based on different pair of features. It classify that which pair of features will belong to which classification. Will it be a different classification or a similar classification to another pair, and it accordingly separates, it clusters, makes clusters. Of course it won't know that it is urban or rural or metropolitan. It won't be able to name that those classifications which it basically identifies, but it can identify that it's a different classification. So when it sees a feature of the urban classification, all the urban classification, it will try to group into one. It identify that it is a different kind of classification. When it comes to the features of rural classification, it will identify that okay, this belongs to a different classification, although it won't know the name that it's a rural classification, but it'll assume that it's a different kind of classification, different kind of group. Urban features, it'll identify that okay, it's a different kind of group. Metropolitan, okay, it's a different kind of group. It'll automatically, it'll by itself, it'll identify, and it does it by different methods. It'll basically clusters the data in different classifications, right? It doesn't have the labels, it does it by itself. So basically it classifies the pair of features in different classification by itself. That's unsupervised learning for us. Then we have reinforcement learning. Now reinforcement learning is slightly different. So in reinforcement learning, what we do is, in reinforcement learning, we do not have the labels. Definitely we do not have the labels, and also we have a different goal for the machine. So the goal of the machine in reinforcement learning is to find a right plan of action. So the machine performs, again, it doesn't have the test data as well. It'll interact with the environment and learn in that during that interaction. So it'll interact, it'll perform some random action, and it'll look for the feedback. If the feedback is negative, so it'll understand that this plan of action, this path is not right, so I should modify my path. And then it'll modify the path and go to the other path, and again it'll look for the feedback. Now again, if it gets the negative feedback, it'll again change the path, and it'll keep changing the path, keep changing the plan of action till it gets the positive feedback. Once it gets the positive feedback, it'll go to the next action plan, and again it will look for the feedbacks. So that's how it tries to identify and tries to find its right plan of action, right set of actions. So that's reinforcement learning. So goal is not here, goal is not clustering, goal is not to find classification, but goal is to find the right plan of action and keep going there till the time, and keep getting positive feedbacks and keep moving ahead. And if the feedback is not positive, it is negative, then change the uh, plan of action. We can relate this reinforcement learning to robotics basically. So we'll discuss more about this in more detail in later videos. So now we can maybe summarize here. Supervised learning, we have test data, definitely. We have labels. We had labels, right? We had labels here. These were the labels for supervised learning. Then it can be used for regressor problems as well as classifier problems. We already discussed this in previous video. So it can be used for both. Now unsupervised learning, they do not have labels. The model tries to cluster the data into different classifications without even knowing the names of the classification. It will just understand, it will just try to understand that okay, this set of features belongs to a different classification, the other set of features belongs to a different classification, and it tries to separate the classification. And it generally works on classifier problems only. And reinforcement learning, as I said, it's a reward based learning. The path is being decided based on negative or positive feedbacks, and it as more and more positive feedbacks are received, we keep moving ahead with our action plan, and as we get the negative feedbacks, we keep modifying our plan and keep finding the right path. So that's a supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning for us. If you have any questions, you can write down in the comment section, and I'll definitely answer those. Thank you.